Sidney Poitier's life began against all odds. Born 2 months early on February 20, 1927 in Miami, he weighed just 3 pounds. His Bahamian parents, Evelyn and Reginald, had come to Florida only to sell tomatoes and never expected to deliver a child there. Doctors told them the baby wouldn't survive. Reginald even bought a small casket, but Evelyn refused to give up. She stayed in Miami for months, nursing her fragile son back to life. When a soothsayer told her not to fear, saying the boy would walk with kings and the world would know his name, she held on to that promise. When the family returned to Cat Island, life was brutally hard. 10 people lived in a small stone hut with no electricity, plumbing, or modern comforts. Sidney fetched water, chopped wood, and wore clothes made from old flour sacks. But amid the poverty, he remembered the love most, their evenings together on the porch, fanning away mosquitoes by firelight. When he was 10, everything changed. Florida stopped importing Bahamian tomatoes, forcing the family to move to Nassau. For the first time he saw cars, lights, and flush toilets. He also saw racism. White children looked at him as though he didn't belong. It was a shock that never left him. He nearly died again as a boy, almost drowning while swimming on Cat Island until his brother saved him. From that day he feared water deeply, avoiding film roles that required swimming. At 14, hunger led him to steal food, and he spent one night in jail. His father, afraid he'd go astray, sent him to Miami at 15 with just $3. There Sidney encountered the full cruelty of Jim Crow America. White-only signs, threats from the Ku Klux Klan, and harassment by police. He slept in garages, often hungry, struggling to understand a country that hated him for his skin. At 16, desperate to escape poverty, he lied about his age to join the U.S. Army. He was sent to a psychiatric hospital in Long Island, where he witnessed shocking abuse of patients. Unable to bear it, he faked mental instability to get discharged. Afterward, he drifted in New York City with no money, sleeping in bus stations and park benches. Working as a dishwasher for $5 a week, he struggled to read until an elderly Jewish waiter took him under his wing, teaching him nightly with newspapers. That man's kindness transformed his life. When he auditioned for a Harlem theater group in 1946, the director mocked his accent and poor reading. Humiliated, Sidney bought a radio and spent months practicing diction, imitating announcers until his voice was clear and strong. His persistence paid off. He earned a small part in a Broadway play. Though he forgot his lines on opening night, critics noticed him. Encouraged, he worked backstage at the American Negro Theater just to study the craft. Sharing one ticket with Harry Belafonte, he took turns watching plays. When Belafonte fell sick, Poitier replaced him, marking his real start. His breakthrough came in 1950 with No Way Out, playing a doctor treating a racist patient. The South banned the film. Poitier received death threats and FBI protection. Yet he refused to back down. His integrity shaped every choice he made. In 1949, he turned down a paying role because the script demeaned black men, even as his wife was about to give birth and he couldn't afford the hospital bill. That decision earned him lasting respect. Blackboard Jungle, 1955, made him a star, though it caused riots in theaters and was banned in parts of the South. In 1958, his role in The Defiant Ones earned him an Oscar nomination, the first for a black actor. Yet some black audiences criticized the ending, where his character sacrificed freedom to help a white man, seeing it as another story of blacks suffering for white redemption. In Porgy and Bess, 1959, he faced even harsher backlash from civil rights groups who condemned the film's stereotypes. Poitier later called it the one role he wished he had never taken. Throughout the 1950s, the FBI surveilled him for his ties to activists like Paul Robeson and Martin Luther King Jr. Studio executives, even pressured him to denounce his friends. He refused. In 1964, he made history, winning the Oscar for Lilies of the Field. While celebrated, he faced criticism that his roles were too saintly, always kind, patient, and forgiving toward white characters. He was trapped by Hollywood's limited imagination of black dignity. That same decade, he changed cinema forever. In the Heat of the Night, 1967, he insisted that his character slap back when a white man struck him, a moment that electrified audiences. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967, challenged America's taboos around interracial marriage, still illegal in many states at the time. Yet Poitier himself felt constrained. His character was too perfect, too safe to show real tension. Off-screen, his life was far from perfect. Married to Juanita Hardy since 1950, he began an affair with actress Diane Carroll in 1959 that lasted 9 years. He promised to leave his wife but never did. The marriage ended in 1965, scarred by scandal. In 1976, he married Joanna Shimkus, his co-star from The Lost Man. They had 2 daughters and stayed together for 45 years despite ongoing rumors. Determined to expand opportunities for black filmmakers, Poitier began directing. Studio unions resisted his efforts to hire black crew members, but he persisted. His directorial debut, Buck and the Preacher 1972, broke barriers. Then came Uptown Saturday Night 1974, a hit comedy that defied Hollywood's expectations for all black casts. The film's success paved the way for others, and was later added to the Library of Congress for its cultural significance. His 1980 film Stir Crazy, starring Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, became the highest-grossing comedy of the year, though filming was chaotic due to Pryor's drug addiction. Not all his projects worked. Ghost Dad 1990 flopped, ending his directing career. In 1997, he portrayed Nelson Mandela in a television film, but faced criticism from South Africans who felt the role should have gone to one of their own. Still, he continued to earn respect as both an actor and diplomat, serving as the Bahamas ambassador to Japan from 1997 to 2007. Privately, Poitier was battling prostate cancer, diagnosed in 1993. He underwent surgery, changed his lifestyle completely, and lived on vegetables and discipline. For nearly 3 decades, he kept his illness secret. Not even when President Barack Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009 did the public know he was fighting cancer. In his 80s, he began showing signs of Alzheimer's dementia. His family watched as he slowly lost the sharpness that had defined him. Music was the one thing that reached him when words could not. Then in 2018 at 91, he suffered a devastating fall that left him unable to walk. The injuries compounded his heart and circulation problems. Still, he refused to let the world see him in decline. Critics had long debated his legacy. In 1967, playwright Clifford Mason accused Hollywood of sanitizing blackness through Poitier's roles, calling him a cardboard saint. Film critic Pauline Kael argued that his characters were too noble to be real. These critiques haunted him, even appearing in obituaries after his death. But his family defended him, saying he had opened doors through quiet strength. He didn't raise his fist, one relative said. He kicked down the door. Sidney Poitier died on January 6, 2022, at the age of 94.